Okay, let's dive in. Starting way back, August 17th, 1999. So these notes talk about music, right? Specifically, this idea of making a record that lasts, that achieves perpetuity, trying to dodge dated production techniques. But then, almost immediately, it hits this contradiction that you actually have to date your work, to build an audience, figure out pricing. It's like, how do you aim for timelessness when promoting it ties it right to a specific moment?
That tension, that paradox between wanting something timeless but needing timely promotion, it really lingers, doesn't it? And when we jump ahead to the note from August 17th, 2024, it tackles this head on. What's your take on how that later note looks back at the 99 idea, especially now?
Well, it's quite the shift in perspective. The 2024 note basically says, look, all production dates eventually, especially AI-generated music, because the sound is baked into the data it learned from. It suggests the only truly perpetual thing is, well, playing an instrument manually, no software involved.
Right.
And if you think about the economics, too, I mean, how we pay for music has totally changed.
Yeah.
It's not about buying albums so much anymore.
No, not primarily.
It's ads, subscriptions, a whole new model driven entirely by the internet,
That economic shift is massive, absolutely. But it also pushes us towards a deeper question about what music is. The 2024 note gets into this, suggesting music is fundamentally about imitation. But AI replaces that human imitation with algorithms. So that traditional figure, the epigon, the human follower or imitator, someone like the Beats might have discussed that role, is now filled by AI. It's gone. In a human sense.
Which leads us straight to August 17th, 2025. The note from that day looks at how DIY music creation has changed. We're at a point where, practically anyone who's even slightly interested can give songwriting a shot. The example used is Rick Beato using Suno, that AI music tool, to basically conjure up an artist and single in, minutes?
Yeah.
It's described as songwriting as a listener, not sitting down with a guitar and notebook in the old way. It's a fundamentally different creative process.
And a key point there is that this AI music is also derivative, epigonistic, but without any human musicians actually doing the imitating. The note then suggests something quite interesting. Musicians should maybe imitate the AI's output, create derivative works from that. It points out that when you actually try to play many of these AI songs, you often find they feel musically, empty. Despite seeming emotional, that perceived emotion is put down to smoke and mirrors, like a clever illusion.
Right.
Looking ahead, the note envisions this seamless blend, like AI-generated stuff and human-made music coexisting, almost like layers of architecture in a city, different eras forming a whole.
That idea of reality being a kind of con or an illusion, that takes us somewhere else. On August 17th, 2000, the notes changed track a bit. They discussed the artist Saul Lewitt, who apparently drew a lot of inspiration from music. But the writer notes the opposite was true for them, visual art influencing music.
Interesting overlap.
Yeah, and that leads to thinking about other overlaps, like film and politics, though the note is pretty pessimistic here, saying TV will always win out, making politics just about perception and image management.
And this brings us to a really critical point about how we perceive reality itself. The 2024 note, tying back to this, observes that the most interesting stuff often happens in that slippage between domains, but, not always in ways we personally find engaging. It highlights how music could feel like a painting back in 2000, sure, but disturbingly, reality can feel like a disaster movie. And then it says, actually, it is like one now. This really underlines something crucial. Our metaphors aren't just words. They shape how we see things. We forget their metaphors, like truly believing life is a disaster movie, not just feels like one. Sometimes we start to lose our grip, on how we perceive things, how we react.
So yeah, understanding our own mental models is key. But this journey through the notes also hits some really personal moments. August 17th, 2001. Things get philosophical here. There's this powerful metaphor exploring life's journey, thinking as a form of travel.
Yes.
It suggests that getting anywhere truly worthwhile in life just takes a really long time. It needs immense faith, endurance.
It's a striking analogy. The note paints this picture of traveling through space, doesn't it? On a spaceship. Reaching some promised planet takes, say, 25 years. You endure all sorts of dangers, never certain you'll make it.
Right.
And the advice given is basically, sit back, relax. You're stuck on the ship. You can't turn back anyway. It's a really poignant take on accepting life's journey, all the uncertainty, and just finding some peace within that confinement.
Then jump forward to August 17th, 2010. We land on a very practical topic, but still with philosophical undertones, downshifting. The note contrasts the Chinese focus on their Chinese dream big plans, expansion with Americans thinking about contracting, shrinking down. This is linked to life becoming more atomized, maybe a desire for solitude, or even some kind of extreme backup plan.
And this touches on something vital about creative work. We often think solitude is the absolute essential thing, the sine qua non.
Yeah, the lone genius trope.
Exactly. But the note argues that physical space is just as crucial. Ideas might exist anywhere, sure, but bringing them into the world is constrained by the size of your workspace. That romantic image, scribbling notes by candlelight in a tiny cabin, it clashes hard with needing tools, storage, actual electricity, both literal and like the spark of ideas.
That's a really important point. It's not just about preference, is it? For many creators, especially those using technology, the physical space is fundamental. What do you think the note implies about the hidden costs when artists do have to shrink their creative space?
Well, it pretty explicitly says it staunches possibilities. Downsizing for an artist is described as fundamentally inimical to the artist archetype because ideas are their fuel, their reason for being. The note then lists the kind of drastic cuts needed for this V-house idea, these super tiny minimalist homes. You'd have to pare down instruments, get rid of books, sell art, furniture, maybe move music work to share studios, focus only on digital stuff like photography or writing, all described as none of them too exciting.
Doesn't sound ideal.
Not for this perspective, no. The broader point is, while tiny living has merits for some, an intentionally shrunk life will probably just expand again naturally. And that image, a child in the future asking, what are all those old little houses for? And the answer, people used to live like that, seeming depressing or absurd, it really puts it starkly.
Yeah.
For some, maybe small is happy, but for the artist, the craftsman, it's likened to life in prison.
Wow. Life in prison. That really hits home about environment and creation. But okay, shifting from physical space to like the mental space of creating. On August 17th, 2013, and then it pops up again a decade later, August 17th, 2023, there's this thought that challenges why creators even create. It asks, if composers knew theorists would dissect their work later, would they actually write for the analysis? What does that say about the audience affecting the art?
That's a really significant question, isn't it? About the dynamic between the person making something and the people who receive it. It suggests creation isn't just internal drive. It might be shaped, maybe subtly, maybe not, by how you anticipate it being received, interpreted, analyzed. Makes you think, For anyone who creates anything, how much does that awareness filter in?
Definitely. And finally, August 17th, 2024 brings a personal reflection. The writer talks about changing their morning routine. They stopped doing these daily riffs videos, short musical bits, but started doing daily song days, which involves going through old diary entries, specifically hunting for lines that could become songs.
Interesting process.
Yeah, then they jot these down in a paper diary, sometimes adding notation or tracking them. And dictating notes, too, just capturing ideas as they come across different media.
And the striking thing there is how the writer views AI's effect on music. They see it as something that will force people to compete, to come up with more innovative ideas.
So not